Once upon a track, there was a train named Rusty. He chugged through life, focused on his shiny wheels. One day, he met a cheerful locomotive named Sunny. They clicked like two gears fitting perfectly. Rusty discovered the joy of friendship as they explored new routes and shared tales of their journeys. But one gloomy day, Sunny's engine broke down. Rusty knew it was time to repay the kindness. He offered a piece of his own rusty engine, mending Sunny's heart. Rusty learned that friendship was the most powerful engine in the world. I found myself caught in a sticky parking situation. My car, you see, had been graced with a bright yellow parking ticket. The meter-maid patrol officer had caught me red-handed, or rather red-wheeled, and I knew I had to come up with a cunning plan to avoid paying the fine. I put on my best innocent face and approached the officer, explaining that my car had magically transformed into a temporary art installation. I called it the daring double park delusion. With a mischievous twinkle in my eye, I insisted that the ticket was actually an appreciation note from the city for my daring creativity. The officer raised an eyebrow, clearly skeptical, but I pressed on, passionately describing the symbolism of my car's unconventional placement and how it represented society's need to break free from parking norms. I even threw in a few rhymes for good measure, just to keep things interesting. As I rambled on, the officer's stern expression began to soften, replaced by a mixture of confusion and amusement. And that's when I knew I had him. He chuckled, shaking his head, and exclaimed, "You know what? I've never encountered a parking Picasso before." With a wink, he crumpled up the ticket, tossed it into the air, and declared, "Consider your fine null and void, Mr. Rosen. Your creative genius has won the day." Picture this, the bustling streets of Gotham City, where darkness and crime seem to lurk at every corner. But instead of relying solely on the caped crusader, Batman, to keep the city safe, imagine if the people of Gotham came together and embrace the power of plums. Yes, plums. You see, plums are not just delicious fruits. They hold a secret power within. They are bursting with nutrients and a natural sweetness that can bring joy to the gloomiest of hearts. Imagine if every citizen of Gotham carried a juicy plum in their pocket, ready to offer it to someone in need. A simple act of kindness, a shared plum, could work wonders. Batman could take a well-deserved vacation, resting atop a tall building, munching on a plum and watching as the city thrives on the sweet unity of its people. Whether you find yourselves in Gotham City or any other corner of the world, let us embrace the power of plums and spread kindness like the seeds of this marvelous fruit. I'm strolling along, minding my own business, when suddenly I feel that telltale tug on my shoe. Gum! The pesky culprit had struck again, sticking to the sole of my beloved footwear. Oh, the frustration! It seemed like gum had a magnetic attraction to my shoes, and no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't escape its clutches. But being the resourceful fellow that I am, I concocted a rather ridiculous plan to combat this sticky situation. I decided to attach a small extendable pole to the bottom of my shoe, a sort of gum extraction device, if you will. Whenever I encountered gum on the ground, I would activate the contraption and attempt to scrape it off from a safe distance. Now, you can probably imagine the comedic results of my endeavor. Instead of efficiently removing the gum, I found myself inadvertently stepping on even more gum as I wobbled around with my peculiar shoe attachment. It was a comical dance, to be sure. Needless to say, my brilliant solution didn't quite work as intended. Sometimes the most straightforward solutions are the most effective. And as for me, well, I continued to keep a watchful eye for gum on the ground, ensuring that my shoes remained free from that bullshit. Now, I understand that there are some who claim that algebra is a fundamental building block of logical thinking and problem solving. They argue that it enhances critical thinking skills and prepares us for the complexities of the world. But let me tell you that I wholeheartedly disagree. When have you ever found yourselves in the midst of a real-life situation, desperately in need of solving for X? Has anyone ever approached you on the street and said, "Quick, solve this quadratic equation or else"? I highly doubt it. You see, algebra is like a cleverly disguised villain, lurking in the shadows of the mathematical realm, waiting to pounce upon unsuspecting students. It masquerades as a necessary skill, but in reality, it robs us of precious time and mental energy that could be better spent on pursuits like Plums. I contend that there are plenty of real-world problems that don't require the complexity of algebraic equations. Let us focus on developing skills that are relevant to our lives and passions, like Plums, rather than being held hostage by the clutches of algebraic unknowns. I propose a revolution, my fellow students. I implore you to question the usefulness of algebra and advocate for a more meaningful and engaging class. Let us take a stand and reclaim our intellectual freedom from the clutches of this meaningless mathematical monster.